Hello, welcome to Slick Slices. This episode I'm going to go through a series of knives that in my mind are linked. You may or may not feel the same, but we'll see where we go with this. Now, the first one is this. This is a very traditional American design called the Sod-Buster. It was originally a case pattern, I believe, but this one here is made by Schrade Imperial. Now, this particular knife has a huge advantage to anybody who's collecting knives in that it costs about £7 from Heine Haynes. Now, this is the small Sod-Buster, and to give you some idea of the size that it is, there is the Knox Spartan. So you'll see that this is slightly bigger than a Spartan, but it's still a sub 3-inch knife. Now, they do a larger version, which is not a UK legal carry, just because of size. It doesn't lock, it's still a slip joint, but it's just that much bigger. Now, funnily enough, that actually makes a really good working knife. It really fits. It fits well in the hand. You know, you can, even though if I've got large size hands, but that still makes a good, a good hold in the hand. Good blade. And another interesting thing to note about these particular Sod-Busters is that I've watched a number of YouTubes on these, so these aren't the only two I've ever seen, but these little ones invariably come blunt, whereas these larger ones, which are another £1, they're only £1 more expensive, like £9 I think, £8 and £9 or £7 and £8 or something, I can't remember, invariably come very sharp. Which is, I don't know why that is, they presumably come out the same factory. I'll leave that Knox Spartan there because I'm going to show you a couple of other knives that I think follow on from the Sod-Buster pattern. Now, the history here is not necessarily time specific. This is the history in which I bought these knives rather than the history in which they were designed or made. But this one here strikes me as a very similar pattern to the Sod-Buster, at least in its intent. It has a similar shaped blade with a straight blade with a belly towards the end, slight drop point. You could say that's more like a spear point, maybe that's more like a drop point, but I think it's a bit of a moot question. You have a curved handle, maybe not as curved as that. The difference really being this Boca Plus, which I should say comes in a very, very nice box. I've got one. It is here. Comes in this box here, which is one of these ones with a magnetic closure. It opens up, you get a little bit of blurb in there, and a box that is tailor fitted to the knife. Say, very nice box. Unlike the Schrade, which I don't even think I kept the box. It was just a little plain cardboard affair of no note whatsoever. And I'm just having a look. No, I don't have it. This came more nicely presented. This is also a more modern knife in that it is held together with Torx screws, and of course it has a clip. Now, I put a little lanyard on it, but only because I find these little knives can be a bit difficult to keep in my hand, and that lanyard just helps to give it a wee bit more length to hold in my hand. But this is actually called the Boca Plus Tech Tool 1. Now, the Tech Tool range comes in a number of numbers, Tech Tool 1, Tech Tool 2, etc. And that refers to the number of layers that they have in them. So a bit like a Swiss Army knife, if this was a Tech Tool, this would be called the Tech Tool 3 because it has 3 layers of tools. But this Tech Tool 1 only has two tools. One is very obviously a knife blade, and the other is a glass breaker on the end. It has G10 scales, or there's also a version that's available with carbon fibre scales. The problem with the carbon fibre ones is they're very flat. I actually thought that the G10 made a much more textured, attractive knife. Now it has a hollow ground blade. If I twist it like that, you can see the light move across it. Shows it's you can see the hollow in it. It also came very, very sharp, and I've used this for a bit of whittling. If you get a little piece of soft wood, a bit of pine or something, this will whittle very, very easily and very, very accurately. Again, it's a sub 3-inch UK legal slip joint. Now, so where do I go from that one? Well, the next one I got from there was this. Now, I think in a way it follows the same pattern, in that we've got the same simple blade shape, the same simple handle. What is slightly different with this one is I think this is made by a Finnish firm that's called Enzo. It's the Enzo PK70. Which is a UK legal slip joint with a 70mm blade. The legal limit's 3 inches, but that's 7.62 centimetres or 76.2 millimetres. This one is a 70mm blade. It's actually about 68mm long, but you know, who's going to argue? It's better to be on the good side than the bad side. Again, this is a modern, well-made knife. Where this one scores is twofold. First of all, this has the most amazing fit and finish. I don't know if it'll focus, but even if it will, the chances, even if it focuses, you cannot see the difference between the back spring and the liners. The only way you can actually see that the back spring is not part of the liners is when you set it in a sort of half open position. Then you can just see it. But otherwise, when it's open or when it's closed, you cannot see the join between the liners and the back spring. This is, quite frankly, the best fit and finish you will ever see. It's a Taiwanese or Far Eastern made knife, but it's lovely. It has a lovely thin blade stock, sort of about 2mm, flat grind. It's also available as a Scandi, funnily enough, but I only have flat grind, and even sharper than the Boca, straight out the box. I was super impressed with that knife. And in fact, I was so impressed with that knife that I bought another one. Now this is also the PK70. The difference in this one is that one was carbon fibre, which actually is a carbon fibre laminate over G10, which gives it a very flat, square in the hand profile. The corners are nicely chamfered, and it is shaped in, you know, that direction, so it does fit in the hand reasonably nicely, and it is comfortable to use. But this one, with it's a titanium bolster and G10 panels, is sculpted in 3D, so it's lovely. Again, the full flat grain blade. Now it sort of has a bit of the Finnish puukko styling about it, but it still has that same, to me, it still has that same sort of peasant working man blade finish to it. However, if we move on from them, I'll move them down a bit, I have two more which I think follow this same pattern. So if I put that back there, get these out of the way. this is the Manly Wasp. Now I have two of these. I'm actually left-handed, so I've changed one to left-handed. One of the things about the Enzos is they're right-hand only, which is tip up, left, right-hand only. The Boker, I should have mentioned this, is either tip up or tip down. It actually comes tip down, but it is again right-hand only. Now with slip joints, that's not so much of an issue because you're not likely to put your hand in your pocket and find the blade half open and slice your hand off. So it's less of a worry. But even so, the green Manly is one I use. You know, it's a carrier, it's a user. So I moved it over to left hand. The right one is a limited edition Heine Haynes one, which just was one of their limited runs. Now again, these are all sub 3 inches. The difference is, I'll put this one in the middle to get the best view. This is 70 millimeters. These are 75 millimeters. These are right on the line. Now actually the law says it's a cutting edge of, so it doesn't actually matter, but if you measure from here to the point, that is 75 millimeters. It's right on the 76.2 millimeter limit. It's right close to that limit. It's on the right side of the limit, but it's right close to it. Now these knives are S30v Steel, which is a step up from the Boker or the Sod-Buster. These ones here are S90v, but the real advantage of these ones is they are only half the cost of the Enzos. So not only would I be much more willing to use one of these and get them dirty and scratched and whatever because of the price, but they also have a better quality, longer lasting, more expensive steel in the blades. Again, I say very deep pocket clips. This also has a very deep pocket clip. I like deep carry pocket clips, particularly in the UK when you really don't necessarily want to be advertising that you're carrying a knife. People can be very, very funny about these things in the UK. That's a deep carry clip as well, but unfortunately I ruined it by putting that lanyard on. But hey ho, there we are. Okay, so there we are. We've moved from the Sod-Buster, which is the traditional turn of the century case design, through to some of the more up-to-date, high-techy slip joints of today, but they follow a similar pattern, similar type of knife.